Hello, everyone, and welcome to e-commerce growth show. We're finally live. We've got it. A bit of technical hiccups, but you're acquainted with that. I'm here with Jake Cohen from Klaviyo. Hello, Jake, and welcome to e-commerce growth show.
Hello, thank you so much for having us on to share what we've seen.
Perfect. So, Jake, let's get on with it. Tell us first a bit about your background, because I've seen there that you've got a lot of jobs, right? So you've been a journalist, you've been playing as a project manager, you've been doing strategy, and now you are in this marketing and digital marketing landscape.
Yeah, so my my career is not something that I would tell anyone to follow, but it's helped me learn some interesting things along the way. My little secret that really no one knows about me, but now you'll find out. My parents ran an advertising agency when I was a kid, and so since literally I was one, uh, my dinner table conversations have been around how do we improve our funnel, how do we get new customers, how do we make sure our employees and our clients are happy. And I thought that was normal, that every family talked like that. And I learned later on that it's a little different. I ended up having a lot of random jobs, and probably the most exciting ones. Number one, I designed multi-platform marketing campaigns for large B2C brands like Ford and Allstate and Fiat and things like that. And then I quit to help start a company focused on small businesses, because my passion is helping entrepreneurs, helping small businesses succeed. I think that it is probably inspired by my mother. It's an amazing thing to go out on a limb and do something you believe in. And if I have the opportunity to share what the big brands with budgets, bandwidth, and expertise have figured out and give it to small businesses so that they could use it for themselves to succeed, I call that Robin Hooding. That's what I want my career to be about. And so I'm very lucky to have found a company like Klaviyo, which shares a similar sentiment, mission, and mentality, where I've been able to do what I believe in so much every single day. And that's kind of driven my roles at Klaviyo. I led product management. Now I'm leading product marketing, and it's also driven a lot of what's behind this project we're working on now with what we call internally Operation Lighthouse, but externally helping entrepreneurs understand what's going on in the world, so that they can have a reliable, trustworthy source of information, so that they can make better decisions to help them navigate this new environment and, of course, thrive both today and tomorrow.
That totally makes sense, and I can relate to having a lot of jobs, Jake. So I've been doing radio shows, I've been selling cooking books, I've been doing car insurance, I've done a lot of stuff, and I built an e-commerce company at some point. People that are doing this, I've learned after I've passed my 35 years old. Now I'm 39. So I finally found out that we are called late bloomers. So that means we need to understand a lot of stuff before going full throttle on one direction in our careers.
But once you find it,
now that you're yeah, exactly. And if you are not struggling, and if you are not, let's say, too stuck in the ideal and in the romantic way of finding the career, the path, then you could have some fun in the process as well, because life is it can be a journey, or it can be an objective, but at some point you'll be 90, or thanks to anti-aging you'll be 120. And
my first job out of college was in commercial real estate for luxury retail. So my job was to help like Prada get a store. And this was right in the big recession in 2008 when commercial real estate was falling apart and no one was buying luxury retail. And so like, if ever there's a time to like fail so spectacularly, that was it. But we all go through that, and we have to, in order to really like toughen up, figure out what drives us, learn about ourselves, and find the thing that, speaks to us. So I'm like with you 100%.
Yeah. So Jake, we are now, or we at least look, we are smiling, but the world is not such a fun place to be in.
Yeah.
We've passed through some roller coaster times. It was first the shock, and then we've started to accept the new reality. I was having fun with some colleagues today that the emergency state, it's already 5 weeks older, so
Yep.
there's no emergency anymore. It's the natural way
Yeah.
of looking at the reality. But you at Klaviyo over there, you've done some tremendous jobs, and you've been mining into some data. You are running some surveys. Tell us your insights and what you found around how COVID-19 is impacting the e-commerce world.
Yeah. To be honest, this has been shocking, kind of what we've seen. So first, what we're doing for anyone who's not isn't aware yet, we started on March 17th. We put out a survey to ask e-commerce brands what's going on. We decided immediately after everyone started working from home, at least in the United States, we asked brands, what would be useful? What can we do for you? And they said, can you just tell us what the heck's going on? And so we started the survey. We asked a bunch of brands, like, what are you seeing? And so we asked about conversion rates, web traffic, sales, supply chain, and ad spending. And in that first survey, we learned, despite the world saying, oh my God, everything is falling and crashing, we learned that there's a handful of brands that actually had sales going up. And not just going up a little, up like 300 to 1,000% overnight. And we said, oh my gosh, like what is happening here? And so as we kept doing the survey, the trend rose. The number of brands reporting sales increases started to rise. And so we said, well, we're sitting on a mountain of data. We should probably go see if this is really the case. And so we took our senior data scientist and brought her on the team. And we looked at transaction data across 19,000 brands. And what we've learned, actually, I should just show you this. What we've learned is that e-commerce sales are up tremendously. So there's two things I can show you. One, I'll show you something that everyone can see, and then I'll show you something no one has seen.
Perfect.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. You have on the window where you're placed, there are some small icons. Yeah.
Let's see if it lets me do. I'm screen sharing. Okay, so I have to.
Yeah, I've focused the screen on your desktop. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I just have to slide over. Can you guys see this chart that I'm pulling up?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So this is what this is. Let me zoom out a little. Yeah. So what this is daily sales volume across 19,000 Klaviyo customers. Transactions are in the tens of millions every day that we're looking at. And what we've done is plotted since January 1st, 2020, what's happening. And what you can see from January 1st is pretty standard stuff, right? Weekends drop, during the week goes up, weekends drop. And you see a little bit of growth in February, but it's like pretty flat. And then around March 15th, which is when all this kind of hit, a new curve takes on and it just explodes. And so we were trying to understand, we basically knew right here that some brands were going to start, really picking up. And as we dug in, we tried to understand, why is sales for e-commerce, blowing up? What's happening? And what we learned was, well, actually, let me take a step back. We first went to Italy and we dug through all the data in Italy by category to see which categories were growing and shrinking, because Italy was a month ahead of the United States. And what we saw was the trends from Italy were identical, both in categories going up and down and the rough slope, like how much they were growing, were identical between Italy and the United States. And this gave us the hypothesis that people are people no matter where they are in the world. They're going to buy roughly the same thing. So what are the things that we need to buy? And this inspired this new essentials, if you can see up here, this hypothesis that we had, which is essentials are the things that you need no matter what. It's like food, water, things like that. New essentials are the things that we need now that everyone's stuck at home. So they're the things that make you feel good and feel comfortable. So it's office supplies for your home, it's workout equipment, it's home furnishing, it's housewares, it's apparel to work out in, toys and games, things like that. And then non-essentials are the things that even if you're stuck at home, you don't really need. things like jewelry, things like automotive, stuff like that. And so we broke out this category with a hypothesis that new essentials are going to drive most of the growth. And I'm proud to say that we were right. If you look at the growth, like this section is much taller over here than any of the other sections are, which tells us that, you know, it's the fastest growing category of categories in e-commerce sales. So it's been very interesting to see that unfold. The next question that we asked ourselves is, what will happen through the rest of the year? Check this out. This is our like internal meeting doc of like how we plan all this stuff. But this is the thing. Can you guys see this? This is, are you still there? Uh-oh. Valentine, are you still there? Oh my goodness. Yes, Valentine's there. Okay, sorry, you're still there. Coming back. Okay, so anyways, what this does is, this right here is the chart that I just showed you. It's this. So this is sales, sales among the same set of customers over 2020. And what we did was we compared it to what happened in 2019. So this is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, huge spike as you'd expect. But you can see that already sales among the same set of customers were basically double. So shout out to those doing good stuff on Klaviyo. But you can see around March 15th, it really starts to grow. And the separation between the two lines is crazy. And so depending on what happens in the rest of the year, you know, I don't know exactly where it goes, but could e-commerce sales get up here? And then when it hits Black Friday, are they like off the page? We're not sure, but that's kind of a leading edge of what we're thinking about, and you know what we're kind of seeing. That's my rant. I guess, should I take questions? Valentine's coming back in a few minutes. All right, I can take some questions and share. So one person said we worry about suppliers. Yes. So we've been, I don't know about your business. I don't know where you supply your inventory from or what you sell, but I can explain what we're seeing. Early on in mid-March, we heard people saying that they were having a lot of difficulty accessing inventory overseas, in particular from China. Europe was totally shut down. Couldn't get anything from Europe. China was mostly delayed by 3 to 4 weeks. What we've heard since then is China's kind of reopened. Wuhan opened up in late March. And so manufacturing's back up in China, and we're starting to see that stuff come over. We're seeing slow fulfillment and slow delivery from suppliers, in particular manufacturers and warehouses in the United States, but they are up. A majority of states in the United States consider fulfillment centers and warehouse and logistics centers as essential businesses. And so they're operating, they're working. But we're seeing delays. But what I can also tell you is that we're seeing success in brands that communicate with their customers proactively through the use of pop-ups or header bars on their website, explaining if there's a delay. And consumers are totally fine waiting. They just want to understand when they're going to get the inventory. So if you do have delays, talk to your suppliers, talk to your fulfillment centers, understand with credibility first. But once you know it, communicate that proactively, be open, and consumers will reward you with that honesty by shopping. All right, I think Valentine, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back, and twice as ugly, as they used to say, right? So, Jake, I have a question regarding the certain verticals. You had there the new essentials,
yes,
and you have the non-essentials. Do you think that this will start to go down as this COVID-19 is going to be extended, and people will start to look more on their pockets? Because I've been reading, and I'm a big fan of the article that John Quelch for Harvard Business School has wrote about the fact that consumers during a downturn back in 2008, he made this research, and there are 4 psychographic segments. You have the slam on the brakes, the ones which are looking at everything through the of money, how much it is, and what do I
Yep.
get. And then you have the comfortably well in, you have the live for today, and you have the pain but patient. So there are four segments. Do you think this, if it's gonna stay longer, with the fact that a lot of people has lost their jobs, that this is just a bubble, let's say, within the e-commerce category, because the e-commerce merchants are somehow protected, as people can't actually get stuff through the offline world, through the traditional bricks and mortar?
So there are so many variables that factor into the right answer. So I don't know, but I can tell you what I think. I think that at some point stores are going to reopen. That's true. And when that happens, I do think there's going to be a slow roll back to them. I don't think consumers are going to be ready to go right to stores unless we have comprehensive tests available around the world such that you can get tested easily, or we have a vaccine for the virus, which I don't expect to come until Q2 2021, give or take. So I don't think that we're going to see a sudden shut off of the spigot for e-commerce brands when stores reopen. I think it'll be a gradual shift back. What I do believe, though, is that this is a tremendous period of education for consumers around the world, because they can't go to the stores they normally go to get the things that they need, and because the things that they need are evolving, so their purchase triggers are actually changing and increasing in frequency. A lot of people are learning that how to shop online and that they can. And so we've been tracking how many consumers are actually shopping online, and that number, the gross number of people who actually make a purchase, unique shoppers, goes up every single week. And what we're also seeing is that because e-commerce sales overall are growing, my hypothesis is that consumers are also buying more categories than they previously purchased in the past. So for example, on the former point, more shoppers, I was talking to someone who explained that their grandparents are now shopping online, something they had never done before. And so they're learning how to do that. On the flip side, I can tell you on our personal experience, we're buying more categories online than we had in the past. Most of our online purchase had been very much driven by an immediate need, in particular our kids or whatever else. But now we're thinking about how we decorate certain spaces in our home. We're thinking about what soaps we need. We're thinking about, if we need certain type of clothes that we might have picked up at another store. Now it's let's go find a cool brand we can support. It's a different way of thinking about what online is. So I think that, a year or whatever from now, when we look back and we look at the overall consumer spending and what percentage of that is owned by e-commerce, last year it was about 15%, give or take. My hypothesis is that when this is said and done, we're going to see an immediate step function up to the lower, 22, 23, 24%, which is a curve that was happening. We're just going to see a big step, and it's going to sort of stick.
Yeah, that's that totally makes sense, Jake. Around the mistakes, let's say, what can you tell us? Because I'm an entrepreneur as well, and I'm running the company, and I have a lot of information overload, right, from all the sources. From what you've been able to see, what are some avoidable mistakes that the e-commerce managers or owners are doing nowadays, and what are your recommendations around that?
Yeah. One last thing before I answer that question. I wrote, let me share my screen for 1 second, just because it'll be useful.
Sure.
On that last topic, I'm screen sharing. I wrote literally the answer to that question, my opinion of what reopening the economy means for e-commerce brands. And in it, if I scroll down here, I literally suggest by month what I think is going to happen from a quarantine policy, testing policy, what's going to drive people to purchase, what's going to happen to digital advertising, and what's going to happen to e-commerce brands as a result. So if people want to get a deeper dive to what I was explaining, I'll put this in the chat. Can I do that?
Yeah, in the chat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll put that in there. Whoops. Go away. People should check that out because, disagree with it. I would love some debate. I'd love some discussion around that. I certainly didn't get everything right, but I wanted to at least provide some perspective on how people may think about what's going on. So anyways, to your question, common mistakes, recommendations. The mistakes that I'm seeing brands make are avoiding the topic. When I see brands that are just like, like we're not going to worry about this whole COVID-19 thing. We're just going to try and like focus on speaking our message and delivering value and telling people it's important. Massive mistake. I think most brands have caught on to that problem. But early on, the brands that acknowledged this is a strange time. All we're trying to do is be useful to you. This is our interpretation of how to be useful. Those brands did really well. The brands that just tried to go either business as usual or focus on discounts to try and save business without the complimenting message saying times are weird and we need your help, those didn't do well because they looked like they were taking advantage of the situation instead of trying to be useful and deliver value. So like number one recommendation, just message your customers either on your website or with email or whatever, and just tell them how you're doing. Like, do you have your staff? Do you have inventory? Are you open? Are you shipping? Like, what's happening? Because everyone, you have fans, even if there's only 2 of them, you have loyal fans. And so they want to know, and they want to be in touch. And the more authentic you are, the more connected they feel and the more they want to help. So here's an example of that. There's a brand called Pistol Lake. They're based in LA. They're a minimalist menswear brand. And their CEO is Ryan. And Ryan Light, around March 17th, their sales completely plummeted. And he was really nervous. He's like, I don't know if I have to lay people off, if we can keep working, what's going to happen? And so he wrote an impassioned, honest, and transparent letter to his customers. And he said, look, times are tough for us right now. We need your help. If you ever considered buying something from our brand, now's a really good time to do it. And to make that decision easier, here's a little bit of a discount to help. That email, that message generated 2 months worth of sales in 2 days. And what it did as a result of that is it gave him the cash flow he needed to not lay off a single person and to repurpose their manufacturing center to start producing masks. So they pivoted using the fabric that they had and started selling things that people needed. And those sold out in 1 day. So like just communication, and be honest, be human. Everyone's trying to help each other out, and you just got to do it.
That's great. So on your topic, I will share my screen as well because we made some research, Jake, just a second.
Awesome.
To make sure I'll make this properly. So we've been researching on Shopify. Can you see it? Yeah, I hope.
Yep.
I hope you can.
Yep.
You can see it. Let me enlarge it as well to focus my screen. Yeah. So we've been doing some research on how Shopify stores are positioning during COVID-19, and we've been seeing that there are some brands which are really, really, let's say, smart and creative. And one of them is Cotopaxi, right? So this is a brand that sells travel gear. And they've made this, let's say, virtual scavenger hunt for their customer that started yesterday. And they've got it right, I think, because what they are selling is sports apparel. People can't go outdoors anymore, but they are donating all the money that they are getting from this virtual quarantine festival, right? And there are a lot of other brands which are taking advantage, like Chubbies as well, right? With the influencer competition, with the Chubby Stay influencer competition. So there is a lot of room to grow and to have a voice. I think what is important, as your example from Pistol Lake, what is important is not to pretend that nothing is going on and to have your normal status quo, like, hey, we are selling goods from A to B. We are just delivering, I don't know, batteries or whatever you're selling. So once you have a voice as a brand and once you show that you care, people will stick around with your company. And actually, I've seen a research a few months ago that number one reasons why people are churning, people are abandoning buying from a company. 70% of them are abandoning because they feel that the company doesn't care
Yep.
about them anymore. So
Totally.
it's about emotions at the end of the day, because the demand is being affected by the customer behavior, and customer
Yes.
behavior is being affected by emotions, and our emotions are affected by COVID-19. So
Yes.
mainly that's the whole game.
100%. The other thing that the mistake that I'm seeing people make, which is a little bit more timely for now, people are not planning yet for the fall. And I think that's a humongous mistake. So there's a couple of things that feed into that. Number one, consumers are not going to stop buying. They're not going to stop shopping. There's still birthdays happening. There are still holidays happening. We still, need to change our clothes, and we still need to eat food. Like, life goes on. So they're going to buy. But the reasons that they
Yeah,
buy are different. The other thing that's changed in consumers is that they understand that the option to, like, oh, I'll swing by a store on the way home, doesn't exist. So they are planning, and they're thinking a
yeah,
month ahead. And so Mother's Day is a great example of this. In the United States, Mother's Day is May 15th or 16th or something like that. People are
maybe.
buying now. They're buying right now for Mother's Day, which is way earlier. And I have not seen a single advertisement, a single email, a single web page saying prepare for Mother's Day. And that's a mistake, because consumers are buying now. And when you draw this out, consumers are looking forward to the time that they can go outside. They're not sure when, but they're going to be, buying a lot of stuff online because they don't want to rely on stores being open, and they're anticipating shortage of inventory. So we're going to see back to school in August and November. I bet that's going to happen in early August this year, because everyone's going to be nervous that they can't get the stuff that they need. And so they're going to start buying sooner. So if I'm an e-commerce brand, this is risky guidance. And I offer this with the massive caveat of, like, look at your cash flow, look at your cash on hand, look at your sales. But if I'm an e-commerce, I'm doing two things right now. Number one, I'm over investing in acquisition. It's historic lows on CPMs and CPCs. ROASs are through the roof. And if I can acquire a customer now, I have the opportunity to communicate with them for free through my owned channels, email, SMS, my website. I can communicate for free with them in the future, which means that I can have a more profitable, sale later on. So I'm over investing in acquisition now. And then the second thing I'm doing is I'm thinking about, what are my top selling key products, and should I oversupply those products in case there's a second wave and people are back at home, or in case people start shopping earlier, so that I can make sure I can take advantage of the massive amount of demand that could be there for e-commerce. And the reason that I'm picking my best-selling products is because the risk of selling those through in the event that there isn't that surge is lower, because of course over time those will certainly sell. It's just because it's the best seller. I'm planning, I'm investing in acquisition, I'm promoting key purchase occasions early, and I'm overstocking my inventory, so I can make sure that I can sell everything.
Yeah.
Another thing,
Please.
do pre-sales right now. I'm seeing pre-sales work tremendously. We looked at our top performing emails from categories over the past few weeks, and like a majority of those were pre-sales, selling an item that hadn't come in yet. So like I'm doing those too.
Perfect. So we have a question. What about
Sure.
existing customers, Jake? Should we focus on acquisition rather than on retention, as it's much more easier and cheaper on having customers purchase from you again rather than convince them in the first time?
So number one, retention and acquisition are not mutually exclusive. You could do both, first of all. Second
Yeah.
of all, I think it depends. I think it depends on the state of your business. So if I have a good optimized ad buying experience, I just want to pour cash on that. If I don't, I think I want to invest in that energy. I do think you want to focus on retention right now, but retention, I think it's a mistake to focus hard on upsells right now. I wouldn't try and convince people to spend more than they have to. I would just focus on positioning all my products in the context of you're at home, or you want to feel good about yourself, or you want to have some normalcy, anything like that. And just try and stay top of mind with these consumers so that they think of you when they're going to buy in the future. So the way I would do this is I would invest, 60-70% of my energy on acquisition right now, and 30-40% of my energy being top of mind or on mind for my existing customers, not worrying about AOV, not worrying about basket size, worrying about, can I get those purchase occasions and can I get them to think of me? Because it's going to build habit, and over the course of the rest of this year, it's gonna pay back in a huge way.
Jake, you've been noticing something regarding habits. We looked at our own data at OmniConvert Reveal, and we are somehow hypnotized about the insights that you can find in your own data if you look at the right metrics. While a lot of e-commerce owners and managers are looking at things like CPC and whatever, being trapped into a mindset that states we need to generate demand, they are not looking at the habit forming. They are not looking at when is the perfect timing to do an onboarding via email, right? Because you over there at Klaviyo, you know this game properly. So you know that there are some certain zero moments of truth, right? When you should be staying on top of in the top of the head of your customers. So, and we've been seeing that there's a magic number, 3. So after the third purchase, the chances to place another order are going to the roof. And those moments, COVID-19 being affected, whatever, are perfect moments, I think, when companies should take care about their tone of voice, the way that they are treating and onboarding their first-time customers, because there is so much emotional load right now that if you are positioning your brand in the right way, and if you are doing a bit of over-delivery, you can stay on their minds and they can change their habits towards.
Absolutely, 100%. And in my opinion, especially for replenishable products, now is the time. Don't worry about basket size. Worry about repeat purchases and build that habit. So, for example, in beauty and cosmetics, here, and let me show you something pretty cool. Share my screen. Where's that again? This is here. Okay, share. Allow. Okay, so can you see this again?
Yep.
So this is on this same website, we show sales by category, comparing 2019 to 2020. So look what happened at apparel and accessories. It dived, and the rebound has been tremendous.
Yeah.
What's really cool, oh cool, this is brand new, this new navigation, have fun. So health and beauty, this is where cosmetics are. And so we're actually seeing a tremendous growth in cosmetics for 2 reasons. Number one, consumers want to maintain their routine because they want to feel normal. They want a sense of, getting up in the morning and doing something so they're not in their sweats all day. And what they're doing is because they're doing that with, more rigor, they're replenishing their sort of stack, if you will, of their morning routine and their evening routine, but they're also trying new products to add to their routine. And so the lesson here is, if you're a replenishable product in particular, you want to get that, second, third purchase. So ways that you can do that, let me take off this share. Ways that you can do that, you can advertise to people who have, or send an email, for example, to people who have purchased in the past and ask them if they want to buy that product again. And if not, check out these other ones. You can set up a subscription service. I've heard a tremendous number of people set up their subscription service. I was talking with, I think I should. I was talking with Shinesty yesterday, who are friends of ours, and their subscription business, they sell subscription underwear, is doing great right now. And so people will sign up for things if they find them valuable and if they're positioned correctly, so that you can build that habit. I agree with you 100%, such that you can build your customer base, your reliable customer base, such that you can remarket to them in the future, in particular come this holiday season, which we're actually rapidly approaching, so that you can have a less expensive cost per sale and then ultimately grow your business more.
Yeah, that's that. unfortunately, there are a lot of uh, there is a lot of room to grow in this direction. But
Hmm.
I think one of the mistakes that I'm seeing at the e-commerce managers is that they are not changing their mindset and their mentality too fast. What you are saying about Shinesty, for instance, they've done this nice positioning, like work from home equals
Yep.
no pants, wear better boxes, right? So
Right.
their positioning was pretty smart and amusing, and mainly they've took advantage of the environment. That's real-time marketing. So
Right.
COVID-19
Exactly.
means real-time marketing. How can you
Yep.
position your product to make sense in in those certain circumstances? Because the needs are still there. It's just the environment has changed a lot.
And what I
What I
tell
wanted
brands
also
now.
to state something here, Jake, is the fact that we are seeing a lot of, let's say, attention uh, being invested in the wrong direction. Because while the most important thing is the human emotions and being the first to mind, people are investing a lot of efforts in let's say numbers, right? So they are looking through the lens of ROI, return on advertising spend, not taking into account the bigger number, which is the lifetime value. And what you are
Yes.
stating there, the habit forming, is that the lifetime value goes up,
Yeah.
while maybe you are losing money with customer acquisition cost on the first order. But what about the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth? So what I think the best would be right now is to change your copywriting and to level up your creative game, no matter what you're selling. So there's an angle, and you need to find it.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, the guidance that I might offer to try, everything's a test. You never know what's going to work. But what I might try is, I think what consumers feel, at least American consumers right now feel, is, when am I going to get to leave? So it's no longer like, oh my God, is this serious? Yes. I think we all know it's serious. The question now is, when can I get out of my house? And so depending on my product, I would think about ways to message, whether you're home or out and about, it doesn't matter. Here's a problem you have, and here's what I have to offer that will help. And so if you can figure out, every product has some way to position. If you can figure out how to position your product as a solution, something that someone needs, whether they're inside or outside, I bet that works really well. And I bet people go, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm in or out. I'm gonna buy that right now. And in addition, I agree with you on your point on, don't focus so much on the micro. I mean, numbers matter. You can't be unprofitable. You can't spend money recklessly, but don't focus on the micro numbers of the specific transaction. Focus on the larger numbers of the specific customer. Because as I mentioned before, the cost per ads right now are so low because all the major advertisers have completely pulled out of all advertising. Guess what, though? When their stores reopen later this fall, hopefully, or whenever they do, they are going to take all that money they're not spending and they're going to double it, because they're going to want to tell people we're open and come back and come back. So no e-commerce brands are going to be able to profitably advertise when the stores open. I could guarantee you that. So I would front load that cash, get those customers in, get the contact with them. I'm less worried, frankly, about the sale at the specific moment, so that in the fall, when there's extreme competition on advertising and you're totally priced out, you're not reliant on advertising. You have your own channels, and you have the ability to communicate with those people in a relevant and useful way to help them from the comfort of their own home and not fight with people who are potentially sick in stores, to buy the things that they need from you so that you can succeed and set up your success later. So I'm this is kind of my thing when I talk to brands right now. It's like, don't plan for the next month. You need to plan for the next 6 to 9 months, because now's the time to take action where you can get ahead of what's going to happen if you're well prepared.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Jake, I have a question for you. What
Sure.
about the companies which simply can't sell anything because there's no demand? So they are in the travel industry and they have,
Yeah.
I don't know, a hotel or whatever, right? So they can't sell any more tickets to certain events and so on. What's your recommendation for them?
So I have two recommendations for brands like that. The first recommendation is focus on value for your customers. And value right now may not mean your product. Instead, you could go look at brands that you're friendly with or that you admire in different categories and curate a list of items that might be useful while people are at home. Why do this? Why sell someone else? Well, number one, you want to have a good relationship with your customers. So if you think about value for them, even if it's not benefiting you immediately, they're going to get that and go, wow, that was really cool. That was really nice. You're really thinking about me. And they will stay connected and they will read your emails the next time that you send them. Additionally, if you work with those brands, I bet they'll give you a rev share. So it's a way to get a little bit of revenue in and support the sort of greater cause. The second recommendation that I'll give is consumers right now are spending more time on email. We're seeing engagement rates like up and through the roof on opens, on clicks, on everything. And they're also spending more time on social media and shopping around. We've seen record number of people report shopping at new brands. Over 50% of respondents are shopping at brands they've never bought from before. So people are online, they're out, they're looking around. If you sell something that people don't want to buy right now, that does not mean that they will not forge a new relationship, a connection with you. So get a pop-up form up on your site. Acknowledge that they may not want to buy from you now. A wonderful form would say, hey, you may not be interested in luggage right now, for example, but we think you might travel in the future. Let's keep in touch so we can tell you about great new product when you're ready to leave the house. And I promise you, people will sign up for that and they will stay connected. An example of this is one of our customers is Who Gives a Crap. They sell toilet paper. And while they don't have the problem of no one wanting to buy their inventory, everyone wants to buy their inventory, they have the problem of having no inventory to sell. They're completely out. And so what they've done is they've created a pop-up that says, we're completely wiped out. But if you stay in touch with us, we'll tell you when we have more and we can tell you new stuff that's coming. And their list is exploding because people want to connect right now. We feel isolated. We want to have new points of connection with other humans. And so make sure you ask for that connection and take it, because again, you'll set up a list that you can remarket to later on this fall. You won't be relying on advertising. You'll be set up to succeed.
That's great. I think it's there are some really interesting insights that everyone should be listening and applying as well in their businesses. Jake, we are approaching to the end of our conversation, and I have two more questions to address you besides the ones that are from you over there. If you have questions, now is the time to ask Jake. First one is regarding let's say the number one tip. You've been saying some of them because we are making a huge roundup with e-commerce and thought leaders in the e-commerce industry. What's your number one tip for e-commerce managers? So what should e-commerce managers should do right now?
As best you can, put your foot on the gas. Now is not the time to wait and see. It's the time to go.
Perfect. And the second question is regarding, let's say, from a macro perspective, do you think the overall demand is going to be affected? Because if we look at not from the e-commerce industry, because we are somehow identifying ourselves with professionals in the e-commerce, we are helping e-commerce companies to connect with their prospects and their customers through their websites. But from a higher perspective, the planet has somehow stopped. We are staying in our homes. We are using technology, and now we are on different sides of the ocean, connecting with 1,203 people which are watching us right now. But from a higher perspective, do you think our mentality as a species will change after this event, or do you think we're just going to get back to our everyday business?
I think the answer to that is a function of time. Like, for example, in 30 years, will we be back to normal? I think so. But like, that's not what you're asking, obviously. I think, I think we're going to have, the best way I can describe this is like in a manual car, like the clutch and the gas. Like I think right now we were living our foot on the gas pretty hard. And now we've got our foot on the clutch and we're waiting to see how hard we can accelerate. And I think we're going to see that sort of transition back, and not all the way back, but mostly over gradually. And I think along the way, there will be some fundamental changes. Masks are going to be commonplace in popular culture for sure. Certainly through 2020. I think that there's going to be, masks are going to follow fashion. People are going to find masks that suit their personality. I think they'll have multiple for different moods, just like people have with glasses. That's going to happen. It's going to be normal. I think people are going to be wary of crowded spaces. But I think that, big events are going to come back. I think sporting's going to come back and people are going to go. I just think that, now in particular with shopping, I think stores are going to follow some of the protocol that we've seen with grocery stores with a certain number of people in at a time. I think people are going to be wary to go back. I think that, I think people are going to buy more from home going forward. And I think they're going to be a little more cautious about how they interact with people out in public.
That's great. So, Jake, we have a question from Nirit. He has a tech solution for e-commerce, can't get any response other than we don't know what's going on. Let's talk in a month. How can he break this chain?
Is that like from like customers and prospects? Like you reach out and say, "Hey, what's up?" All I'm hearing is we don't know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's funny. We hear that too. I mean, and like, you have to respect that brands don't know what's going on. So the best thing you can do is tell them what's going on, right? And so this is the whole driving philosophy behind all the work that we're doing right now. Brands told us, I don't know what's going on. And we said, well, we better go find out what's going on and tell them to help them make decisions. And, we'll have a better sense anyways. And so this is why we surveyed over 7,000 brands and consumers. This is why we were digging through sales from 19,000 customers and sharing it every single day, because we want people to be informed as quickly as possible to make decisions. It kind of reminds me, when I was, I told you about my first job in commercial real estate. And this was when the world was falling. And we would call brands and say like, hey, do you want to lease a store? And they're like, are you joking me? Like, our sales are gone. We were trying to get out of our stores. And we got to a point where we said, look, we can't responsibly tell them to go spend money on a store. So the best thing that we can do is provide value to them so that we can stay top of mind. Because again, are stores going away forever? No, of course not, right? So you want to be there when they're ready to go. Similarly with your solution, I don't know what it is or what your conversations are, but you need to be top of mind for people so that when they do come back and they are ready to spend that money, provided you can float your business until then, you want to make sure that they come to you. And so, our marketing strategy, if you will, on all of this is provide value every day. And right now the value is clarity, information, insights, strategies, tips. And so we're producing 20 pieces of content a week to just give to people for free. And we want everyone to have it, and we want everyone to use it, and we want everyone to succeed. And the best thing that we can do is give them this information so that they can use it responsibly for themselves. So I'd recommend doing, as best you can along those lines.
Yeah. Jake, I have a question regarding your data set. So guys, if you haven't paid attention, Jake, what is telling us? E-commerce is booming. So they had this research on 7,000 e-commerce companies and
19,000 e-commerce companies.
19,000 e-commerce companies, sorry for that. So they were looking at the data and they've compared year over year the total revenue for non-essentials, new essentials, and essentials, right? And what they were finding out is that in total, the e-commerce revenue is going up much more higher than previously before COVID-19.
Yep.
Question for you, Jake. What about the e-commerce companies that are not selling at all? They are included in your data set as well, or you've got a sample, a sample of only companies that still have revenue going on?
No. We took. So we have 32,500 customers. We looked at data for all of them, And then for the year over year stuff, we shrunk that data set down to 19,000 brands where we have sales information both from 2019 and 2020. And so it's all, I mean, it's all kinds of brands, some that are, growing 1,000%, and some that are down a lot.
Perfect. So, Jake, that was my my last question. Tell me if there's any question that I haven't been smart enough to ask you.
The only thing that I bet people want to know is, hey, if I want to go see all these graphs and I want to go get all this data, where do I go? And the answer is go to Klaviyo.com, and there's a green header bar at the top. Click on that green header bar and it will take you to the link that has all the charts, all the graphs, all the tips, all the analysis, all the predictions, anything you want. It's all free. It's all downloadable. It's all available. Use it, reference it. And if you have questions, email me. It's jake.cohen@klaviyo.com, or you can follow me on Twitter, JFCCOHEN. We do a daily video, which I'm going to do after this, that shares the insights that we learned the day before. So if you follow Klaviyo on whatever social channel you want, you'll see that daily video. And if you fill out the survey, which is on that site, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to get a daily digest in your inbox, in your email, so that you can get those insights sent to you right away. So fill it out.
Perfect. So, Jake, thanks a lot for being part of E-commerce Growth Show. That's a wrap for us. If you've liked our show, next week we're going to have John McDonald, who is the founder of The Good, a conversion rate optimization firm that has achieved results for the largest online brands, including Adobe, Nike, Xerox, The Economist, and many more. So see you next week at 3 p.m. UK time. All the best from Bucharest. Bye, Jake. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks for having us.